Hey Coach, congrats on the road win against Knox and being 3-0 and 2-0 in the conference. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's great. It's right where we want to be. If you keep going 1-0 every week, it should stay zero in that right-hand column. That's what we want.
Let's start off by recapping Saturday's game against Knox. What really stood out to you in the road victory?
We really started off fast. Our defense was giving up some yards, but then they got the takeaway by Dante, and then our offense just kind of was clicking early, and we were able to really execute a bunch of different plays the way we wanted to and keep things very simple and just play at a high level. And anytime you can do that, I think that's great. But I think our guys handled the trip down there. It's a long trip in the morning, early rise, get on the bus, go down there, and I thought they handled that really, really well. Knox has a bit of a home field advantage down there, similar to other places, even us, where the visiting team accommodations are okay. And I think that the way that our guys handled that was really, really good. They handled the adversity of the trip, and we actually had a bus breakdown on the way down there. And so handling that and having the guys ready to go and play early in that game at such a high level, I was very happy with that.
That's awesome. Speaking of a high level, I want to talk about A.J. Jackson really quick. He had 255 all-purpose yards and was a huge spark in your return game with a 47-yard punt return and two 30-yard kickoff returns. How good was it to get him going in all facets, both on offense and on special teams?
Yeah, not having him the week before against Lawrence was definitely something we could see a difference in our explosiveness. And I thought that the punt return he had was one of those special moments that AJ is one of the few players who can deliver that. He actually hurdled a guy on his way and didn't break stride, and that's not something that most normal college football players can do. And his ability to do that's really unique. I thought that inspired our guys, got them high energy. He was also just a mismatch for people, and he is for most teams, but he was a mismatch on Saturday in the passing game. He had two or three plays that were, big yardage plays and chunk plays. They were able to get on that. And I also think that his one touchdown that he had in the end zone was after a offensive pass interference call was called against him. And he responded on the very next play and caught a touchdown where there was no debate. And so I thought that type of overcoming adversity is one of those things you like to see in an individual player, but I think it's indicative of our whole team. And I think AJ would be the first one to tell you he's a pretty humble guy, that he's not getting any of those return yards if guys aren't blocking. He's not getting the deep ball unless the quarterback throws and the offensive line protects the quarterback. So I think that he realizes how his success is predicated on execution by the entire team, and I think that's one of the things that really makes him special.
Mm-hmm. We're now at the bye week, but your offense has been rolling for the past 3 games. Are you concerned that having the bye week this early could affect that?
No, I'm actually. I think it's kind of unique, and the entire Midwest Conference is off this week, so it's not just us and other teams are playing. So when we play Cornell in 2 weeks, it'll be them coming off a bye as well. I actually think that this week's going to be great for us. There's a few things we need to clean up. That I think through the first 3 games are maybe masked by winning, where you're still making mistakes and you need to still improve. And I think that this week's going to be great in terms of that. We've got a few things in the passing game that have been a half of a second late, but in the passing game, that's an interception or an incomplete pass. And so if we can get that timing down this week, we're not going to be banging, being physical and stuff like that. We're going to be taking care of our guys' bodies. But there's some really good things that we can do in these practices to make our team better.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to pivot now to talk about defense. They had to defend the triple option run by Knox on Saturday. Was this a struggle for your guys having to sort of adjust to defending this?
It's totally different. And what's really interesting is, we've had a triple option team in the conference since I got here. And then Ripon stopped running it in 2020 season. And the way that Knox is running it is completely different than how they did. And so I think that the first series, you can see our guys really struggling with the speed of how quick the run game was hitting. Once we kind of settled in on that, though, our guys played really assignment sound. I don't want to overuse the word disciplined football, but they did their job. They did what they were supposed to do. They were accountable to one another, not trying to do a different job. And I think because they did that, they had great success. Now, Knox is going to show up as 190 rushing yards or whatever it is, but when the triple option does that, they're going to grind some yards out. We were able to get off the field on third downs or make plays, with takeaways. And I think that that's one of those things that our guys really pride themselves on. It might not be pretty, but we're going to get off the field, and that's the only thing that really matters.
Mm-hmm. You spoke about this a little, but you really do have to play such assignment-type football. Was there anyone that stood out to you in particular on defense?
Yeah, our defensive line was really, really strong, and whether that's Jamari Tansmore or Jacob Fitch, Alex Bendler, Justin Elby, there was Robbie McPhee was out there. We were having to rotate a bunch of guys in there, And I thought where the really strength of our day was when the second and third team guys were going on the field and executing at the same level as the ones. They were still staying on, assignment sound, and they didn't get a ton of reps in the game, in the practice week. Our practices are what they are, but those guys came in and there was no drop off. And I thought the fact that those guys, whether it's Donovan Plummer or Mark Rice or whoever it was that came on the field, there was no drop off from player to player. And so when guys needed a break, they could take it, get themselves healthy and focused back up, rested, and then those guys were playing. And so I think our defensive line in particular, Matt Koziol at middle linebacker had some really nice plays in the run game on the veer and filling. And I just thought they played really high-level football. And so, when you got your depth playing high-level football, it makes your day a lot easier.
Mm-hmm, for sure. As we head into the bye week, this is kind of an opportunity to fine-tune some things that you haven't had as much time to cover thus far. We already kind of talked about offense, but defensively and on special teams, is there anything that you guys are going to focus extra hard on this week?
Yeah, special teams we've got to do quite a bit of improvement because even though our return game got on par and we blocked a punt, we were getting up too many yards in the kickoff, and so our kickoff team coverage, something we can really get focused in on and improve this week. I also think that we've got a little bit of things to tighten up in our punt team that if we can get those right, we'll be in good shape. In terms of defense, I know that Coach Butts, we've seen some very different offenses the last 3 weeks. And I think that when you come out of that, time with the triple option, making sure that we're able to do that next part is really going to be huge because now we're not going to face triple option. We're going to face a spread attack. We're going to see some teams that are, highlighting their tight ends. And we need to make sure that we're ready for that. I think the positive is that's what our offense does. And so we're going to they see that in practice all the time. But really shifting gears from the triple option to that is going to be important. But the bye week, to be honest with you, the two most important things for us, come out of it healthier than we went into it and make sure that we continue to improve moving forward every single day.
Mm-hmm. How do you personally handle bye weeks, Coach? Do you use it as a time to improve in all areas, or do you see it more as an extra week to prepare for your next opponent, which will be Cornell, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, we're really not going to spend a whole lot of time on Cornell this week. We want to try to keep that same prep for next week the same. This is really focusing on us. I think the other part is we really take it as kind of a mental health break for our players, and our coaches too. Like Sunday, I sat home and watched NFL games. It was great. It's the first time I've had a chance to do that all season. I think for our guys, we have days off for the players built in for the season, but our coaches don't really get a break. And so this past Sunday, it was just family day for me, and I thought that was great. But I think for our players, it's giving them a little bit of a mental health break. We gave them Monday off, which is normally a practice day for us. Going to give them a little bit of time on Friday, get in the weight room a little bit heavier than we usually do. And so we're really using his body health preparation, cleaning up a few things X's and O's wise, but this is really a break for them. Get their academics in order. We're getting close to midterms. We want to make sure that they're feeling good about things and not, creating additional stress. But I think for us, it's that. It's not worried about, that next game. It's just worrying about us this week, and then next week we'll worry about Cornell.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the game against Cornell, that's going to be our homecoming game, and that kind of brings an excitement in and of itself. What are you most looking forward to about that game?
It's always the alumni back. I love seeing guys who played for me over the last 16, 17 years who come back to the game wearing their black and red, excited to watch our guys. They're hanging on the stands, yelling and screaming, calling out plays, and I love that part. I love the attention, the affection they give back to their school and their institution. Not having homecoming last year was, it's one of those disappointments, right? Even though we got to play some games in the spring, we never got to have that time where everybody came back, and sometimes that serves as a great reminder for coaches of where they've come from, who they've played, who they've coached in the past. But for the players that are here, it also shows them they're part of a bigger family. And I think that when they get a chance to see those alums come back and have that shared experience, it's something they're going to be able to talk about in wherever they meet down the road. And I think that's really a phenomenal thing, and it's why I love homecoming.
That's really cool. Well, that's actually all I had for you today, Coach. Congrats again on being 3-0, and I know this bye week is early in the season, but I hope it gives you and your coaches and your players a nice break as you prepare for the long stretch ahead of you.
Appreciate that.
Go Forcers.